So, was the recovery painful?
I would say not at all. The recovery has not been painful, except for I had one episode in the hospital that was extremely painful, and seemed like it lasted all day, but I think it really just lasted a couple of hours. And that was when they were transitioning me from the pain pump, which they had like a sort of pump machine that was hooked up to my arm, and you can click every time you need some pain medicine, which obviously works beautifully when you've just had a major surgery. You can kind of really keep on top of it. So at the point where they transitioned me off the pain pump and onto oral pain medicine, I had some issues with the type of medicine I was taking. It wasn't strong enough, and then there was a little bit of a time lapse where I asked for the medicine, it didn't get to me quite quick enough. So just a few things happened, and once your pain gets out of control, then it's hard to reel it back in.
Yeah.
So I probably went from the first day and the next day, my pain level was between like a 0.5 out of 10 to maybe like a 1.5. Then that little episode, I would say it was right up at a 10. And then I was able to get it back under control, or they were able to help me get it back under control. And then from that point forward, it was just like 0.5, maybe a 1. And then 4 days after the surgery, I was off pain medicine altogether. So.
Were there any complications with your surgery or the recovery?
No, so far so good. No complications, thankfully, and I'm healing up nicely. My stomach's still a little bit puffy and tender, of course, but all the incision sites are healing up nicely. My steri strips most of them have fallen off, and everything's just healing up. Not painful at all, and the rest of my body feels really, really good. So I would say I wouldn't describe the whole thing as painful, more just tender, and you get very fatigued.
Mm-hmm. Now it's been a little over 2 weeks now. How do you feel?
I feel great. I feel better than my regular self.
Me too.
I feel awesome. I feel a great sense of accomplishment. It took a long time to get to this point, and I feel like we both did a lot of hard work, and so I feel really proud, and it feels like a good accomplishment. And of course, I'm relieved that it was a success. Of course, that probably I could back up to the fear question and say that was maybe my one fear was that, you might reject the kidney, or, it didn't work. But I knew if that happened that would be okay too. It just had to be a part of it.
Right. And that was actually one of my criteria too, just like the donors, that if something were to happen, like I got a kidney rejected, I had to find someone that I know that would be okay with it.
Not devastated.
Yeah. Exactly. Obviously it would be an unfortunate thing, but I didn't want someone who is so vested in me and so vested in the kidney that if something medically were to go wrong, they would take it personally or whatnot. So that was actually part of my criteria too.
Well, and that's a good point about taking it personally. I'll tell you something that I took a little personally, which is weird. It doesn't even make sense to take it personally, but like when we were doing our genetic typing, we matched 2 out of 6. I almost felt like I was letting you down. Like it was like, why couldn't I have been the 6 out of 6? It was supposed to be perfect, but then I thought, no, it doesn't have to be perfect, you know.
And I talked to the doctor about that, if I had a better match, like say my mother, who was rejected for health reasons, but say my mother is a better match, genetically of course, would I be on less rejection medicine? And the doctor said, with the exception of identical twins, I'd still be on the same level of anti-rejection medicine, because they don't have a way of systematically lowering the dosage based upon those markers. They only know to keep my level of drugs at a certain level so that it doesn't reject the kidney.
See, and that was part of the process I misunderstood. I thought in my mind, almost like if we were a perfect match, you could just go off with the kidney and live happily ever after with no medicine. But it turns out that's not how it is. No,
you have to be identical twins, at least from what I understand, before that can happen, because there's so many other things. I will still see it as a foreign body, even if we're a good match. Do you have any regrets?
I don't have any regrets. Not one single regret. The only thing I could say, like my secret wish when I had my CT scan, was I secretly wished I had like 4 kidneys so I could give away 3, but that, alas, was not to be.
So how has kidney donation changed you? Or would you say it would change you?
Yeah, I definitely feel like it's changed me. In fact, I feel like I'm changing now. So we'll kind of have to see how it turns out. I definitely just feel more connected to the world, more connected to people. You know, my first trip out to Fred Meyer after when I, first got in the car and drove for the first time, it's like everything just looked good to me. You know, I was smiling at everybody and letting people in traffic, and you just never know how you're gonna be connected to people. So it just makes you feel like, go out and be nice to everybody and just have a good time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of funny in a weird way that's happened to me as well, because I think, if a complete stranger could donate to me at that time, I call you a stranger, although it's not fair.
Yeah,
now,
not anymore,
right?
But
I'm carrying around a very intimate part of you.
That's right.
But I thought, if someone could do that to me, maybe this person who wants to be led in line or whatnot, maybe they could be that for somebody else.
Yeah.
And I think that way it's helped me as well in a weird way to also see the world differently.
I think another way to look at it too is like not everybody's going to be able to donate a kidney. It's not for everybody, don't get me wrong. But maybe you can do something else. There's certainly other things that are just as wonderful as kidney donation that other individuals could do. It doesn't necessarily have to be that. Everybody has their own way that they can contribute.
And is there anything that you'd like to tell potential kidney donors that you wish they would have told you before you did it?
Nothing that hadn't been told to me, but basically you're the only one that can decide. Nobody can decide for you, not your family members, not your friends, and not the recipient. It has to be something you're sure of, and it has to be your decision. And when you know it's right, go for it. And you'll know if it's right for you.
Mm-hmm. And I'd like to say that I knew from the moment I met you, at least certainly from the time talking to you in email and then I met you in person, I knew you'd be my donor.
Yeah, I know. I knew that too.
I didn't want to let you, I didn't want to make you so vested in me personally that
Right.
that you wouldn't do it because you'd want to let me down. I needed you to make that decision, but I knew that you've already made the decision that you're going to be a great donor, and if we were incompatible medically for some reason, I knew that you'd be a great donor for someone else. So there's no question in my mind about that.
Yeah. Well, and I think you said something really kind to me once. You said that I was the perfect donor for you, and I have to say you were certainly the perfect recipient for me too. You were patient and understanding through the whole process, always supportive, never pushy, and that was exactly what I needed. So thanks.
And likewise, certainly.
Because originally when I started this whole thing, as crazy as this might sound, and I was like, I want to donate a kidney, and then I'm going to do my liver, and then I'm going to do partial lung, and then intestines, and I had all these great ideas, and then now that I've gone through this, I think, once is enough. One in a lifetime would be plenty.